Hello everyone, welcome to this lesson on inference and purpose questions in TOEFL reading. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify these types of questions in TOEFL reading passages. You will also learn how to correctly answer them by understanding information that is implied and by understanding the author's intent. These question types are key parts of the TOEFL ITP reading section. Inference questions ask you to read between the lines. This means understanding information that is not directly stated in the text. For example, you might need to guess a person's feelings, or understand the hidden importance of a fact. Purpose questions ask why the author includes certain details in the passage. For instance, why did the author mention a specific example? Was it to explain something, or to persuade you? This lesson is for high intermediate English learners at the A2 level. You will learn how to recognize and answer both types of questions. We'll practice with examples, and then you'll take a mini test with 5 questions, 3 inference and 2 purpose questions, to check your skills. Let's begin. So, let's break down inference and purpose questions. First, inference questions. These ask you to read between the lines. The answer is not directly written in the text, but you can understand it from clues the author provides. For example, if a passage says, "The city was empty at night," an inference question might ask, what does this suggest about the city? The answer, such as, "It was quiet," comes from your understanding of the clue, empty at night. Second, purpose questions. These ask why the author mentions a specific detail, fact, or idea. For instance, a question might be, why does the author mention the city's size? The answer might be, to show its importance. You need to think about the author's goal or reason for including that specific piece of information. Why are these types of questions so important for your TOEFL score? Inference and purpose questions test your ability to understand deeper meanings in a text and to grasp the author's intent. These are very common in TOEFL reading, making up about 20% of the questions. Beyond the test, these skills are extremely valuable in academic reading and in real-life situations. When you read complex articles, listen to lectures, or even follow a news report, understanding what is implied or why certain information is presented is a critical skill. Now, let's learn how to answer inference and purpose questions effectively. Let's start with inference questions. First, read the question carefully to identify the specific topic it's asking about, whether it's a place, a person, or an event. Then, find the relevant sentence or paragraph in the passage. This is where your clues will be. Next, look for clues within that text, such as descriptive words, phrases, or the overall context that hints at the implied meaning. Finally, choose the answer that logically follows from these clues but is not directly stated. You should also eliminate answers that are too extreme or completely unrelated to the passage. Now, for purpose questions. First, identify the specific detail mentioned in the question. Go directly to that part of the passage. Then, ask yourself, why did the author include this? What was their reason for mentioning it? Next, check the paragraph's main idea or the surrounding sentences to understand the author's larger goal in that section. Finally, choose the answer that matches the author's intent, not just a simple restatement of the fact itself. And, eliminate answers that just repeat the fact without explaining the purpose. Let's look at some examples. Here's the Galapagos Islands. The Galapagos Islands are in the Pacific Ocean, 1,000 kilometers from Ecuador. They formed 5 million years ago from volcanic activity. The islands are home to unique animals, like giant tortoises and marine iguanas. Charles Darwin visited in 1835 and studied the animals, which helped him develop his theory of evolution. The islands became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1978. Today, 30,000 tourists visit yearly, but strict rules protect the animals. Pollution and climate change threaten the islands, so scientists monitor them. The Galapagos show nature's diversity. An inference question for this passage is, what does the passage suggest about the Galapagos animals? A. They are similar to animals everywhere. B. They helped shape a scientific theory. C. They are not protected today. D. They were discovered in 1978. The passage states that Darwin studied the animals, which helped him develop his theory of evolution. This directly implies their importance in shaping a scientific theory. So, B is the best inference. Finally, a purpose question. Purpose question. Why does the author mention Charles Darwin's visit in 1835? A. To describe the island's location. B. To explain the importance of the animals. C. To list the island's tourists. D. To show volcanic activity. Darwin's visit is linked to his study of the animals and his theory of evolution. This highlights the significance of the unique animals. So, B is the correct purpose. Now it's your turn to practice. For this activity, imagine you ask Gemini to provide a short passage about a famous historical event, emphasizing its impact. Incorporate inference and purpose questions suitable for a TOEFL A2 level. Subsequently, formulate 2 ABCD multiple-choice questions derived from the passage, and I will furnish the answers. Then, you will have the request. And you will answer the questions. To end this course, here are some important tips for success to help you master these question types. First, practice finding implied meanings regularly in short texts. This trains your brain to read between the lines. Second, underline key words in the question to focus your search on the exact information needed. Third, use line numbers if they are provided in the question. This helps you locate the relevant text very quickly. Fourth, eliminate wrong answers that are too literal, too general, or simply off-topic. Often, one or two options will be clearly incorrect. And finally, time yourself. Aim to answer these questions in about 20 to 30 seconds each, as this is a good pace for the TOEFL test.